Hello everyone, welcome. So this is another chapter of Dr. Shanti Swaram Bhatnagar, which is there in VVM. Chapter 3, an exemplary educationist and scientist. So we are going to talk about Dr. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar was one of the ablest and most illustrious sons of India. He was a man who succeeded against overwhelming odds, a man who worshipped science, who never lost faith in his own abilities, and a man who worked for the betterment of the society, not just for his own interest. Dr. Bhatnagar's contribution to the field of education is quite significant. He was an excellent teacher and an accomplished researcher. He had the reputation of being a very inspiring teacher, and it was as a teacher that he himself was the happiest. He taught for nearly 19 years in various universities and inspired a large number of students. Many of his students in the later life occupied important positions and spread the ideals of their teacher. Not only was he great experimenter but also a well read and gifted writer. An exemplary university teacher, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar was a university professor for 19 years, that is 1921 to 1940. First at the Banaras Hindu University, BHU Varanasi, and then at Punjab University, Lahore. He joined the Banaras Hindu University as a professor of chemistry in August 1921, where he spent 3 years at the chemistry department. Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, the founder vice chancellor of Banaras Hindu University, needed to appoint a university professor in chemistry. At that time, Dr. Bhatnagar was in England. Pandit Malviya wrote to three stalwarts of Indian science, Chandrasekhar Venkataraman, C.V. Raman, Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose, J.C. Bose, and Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray, A.P.C. Ray, requesting them to recommend a suitable candidate for the post. All three of them were also in England at that point of time. After consulting each other, all three unanimously agreed upon the candidate of Dr. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar, and the same was conveyed to Pandit Malviya. Based on their recommendations, Dr. Bhatnagar was sent an offer to join BHU. He accepted the offer from Pandit Malviya and joined Banaras Hindu University in 1921. Within a short span of time at the chemistry department of BHU, Professor Bhatnagar was able to create an active school of physiochemical research. Pandit Malviya was very impressed by Professor Bhatnagar's ability and his dedication, and would often recommend the visitors to the university to see Dr. Bhatnagar's laboratory. At Banaras Hindu University, Dr. Bhatnagar did research mainly in colloids, geochemistry, and photochemistry. Professor Bhatnagar was very generous and extended his large heartedness to the students who could not pay their fees, and he paid stipends out of his own pocket to the students showing promise. Being a Hindi poet of repute, Professor Bhatnagar, during his stay in Banaras, composed the Cool Geet, that is song for the university. So this is about Pandit Bhatnagar. In 1924, Dr. Bhatnagar moved to Punjab University, Lahore, as a professor of physical chemistry and the director of the university chemical laboratories. The appointment was an important milestone in Bhatnagar's life or Bhatnagar's career, and the selection for this post testified to his high accomplishment as a researcher. The post had been advertised in Nature, a highly acclaimed international scientific journal published in London. While working at Punjab University, Lahore, Dr. Bhatnagar earned a considerable sum of money for his applied research work. However, he donated all his earnings from such activities to the university. He refused to accept any financial award personally, as he believed that the scientific work loses its selfless character if the worker becomes money minded and begins to get financial benefit for himself. Also, the public begins to doubt the sincerity of a worker who works hard in order to make riches for himself. He felt that students derive inspiration from only a selfless worker. The span of 16 years, 1924 to 40, as professor in Punjab University was most active period of his life for original scientific work. He was fondly called as Dr. Sahib in university chemical laboratories. Coming to the scientific contributions, Dr. S.S. that is Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar made pioneering contribution in fundamental research applications to industry and consultancy. He made a large number of publications, most of them being in the field of physical chemistry, and the major subject were magnetochemistry and physical chemistry of emulsions. He made use of magnetic susceptibility measurements for studying the properties of organic compounds, solutions, films, and colloids. He designed an instrument jointly with his student K.N. Mathur for measuring small variations in magnetic susceptibility. The instrument called the Bhatnagar Mathur magnetic inference balance was one of the most sensitive instruments devised for measuring magnetic properties. The name of the instrument, Bhatnagar Mathur magnetic inference balance for measuring small variations in the magnetic susceptibility. The invention was patented and it was licensed to Messrs. Adam Helger and Company, Camden Town, London for production and marketing. It was exhibited at Royal Society, Surrey in 1931. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar and his group examined the scope of Pascal's law of additivity. They demonstrated that the law could be applied not only to organic compounds but also to inorganic compounds. In addition to his significant contribution to the areas of magnetochemistry and physical chemistry of emulsions, Shanti Swarup did outstanding work in area of applied research in industrial and practical chemistry. Dr. Bhatnagar remained at the University Chemical Laboratories, Lahore till 1940. The laboratories addressed the problem in industrial and applied chemistry brought in by agriculturists and industrialists such as Sir Gangaram, an engineer turned neo-agriculturist, Lala Shri Ram of Delhi, J.K. Mills Kanpur, and Tata Oil Mills. A thorough industrial chemist that we have. Before that, I would just like to read on the physical chemistry of emulsions and whatever examples of the applied science under guidance of Dr. Bhatnagar. A varnish to make gas mask impervious to gases, a special lubricating oil for bronze bearing, a petroleum derived preservative for wood, a method of purifying sulfur, making fuels and lubricating oil from vegetable oils, jute and shellac derived containers for storing hydrocarbons, resins from bagasse and jute, enamels and lacquers from Balawan nut, a stove the size of a matchstick which gives off intense heat using solid fuel, cotton cloth with a heat insulating property of wool, rendering textile fabrics non-flammable and water resistant. In physical chemistry of emulsions, Dr. Bhatnagar was the first to define the effect of electrolyte on the stability of colloidal solutions. He enunciated simple rules governing colloid stability. His hypothesis that all emulsifying agents with an excess of negative ions are wetted by water will yield an oil in water emulsion, while those having excess absorbed positive ions and wetted by oil will result in water in oil emulsion is true to this day. In the field of magnetochemistry, Dr. Bhatnagar used magnetic susceptibility measurements to explore the properties of organic compounds, solutions, films, and colloids. He established the structure of oxide film on the surface of copper produced by oxidation. He proved the existence of ionic missiles by the study of magnetic rotation. Coming to a thorough industrial chemist, Dr. Bhatnagar's first industrial problem was developing the process of converting bagasse, that is, peelings of sugarcane, into food cake for cattle. This was done for Sir Gangaram and Grand Old Man of Punjab. He also solved industrial problems for Delhi Cloth and General Mills, J.K. Mills Limited of Kanpur, Ganesh Flour Mills Limited of Lyalapur, Tata Oil Mills Limited of Bombay, and Steel Brothers and Company Limited of India. His major innovations was an improvement of the procedure for drilling crude oil. Bhatnagar, Mathur, magnetic inference balance. Very, very important. Dr. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar and his student, Mr. K.N. Mathur, who later became the first director of CS, that is Central Scientific Instruments Organization, CSIO, Chandigarh, designed equipment called Bhatnagar Mathur Magnetic Inference Balance. The instrument measures the diamagnetic susceptibility of materials. So, next we have in 1933, Dr. Bhatnagar demonstrated that the very first requirement of an industrial chemist is a very thorough grasp of the fundamentals. The Atok Oil Company of Rawalpindi, representative of Messrs. Steel Brothers and Company, London, had confronted a peculiar problem wherein the mud or the clay used for drilling operation was hardened upon contact with saline water, thereby clogging the drill holes. Dr. Bhatnagar realized that this problem could be solved by colloidal chemistry. He added Indian plant gun as a protective coating to prevent mud or clay from coagulation. The gum had a remarkable property of lowering the viscosity of the mud suspension and increasing its stability against flocculation action of electrolytes. The Steel brothers were so pleased that they offered Dr. Bhatnagar a sum of rupees 1,50,000 for research work on any subject related to petroleum. The company placed the fund through the university and it was used to establish the Department of Petroleum Research under the guidance of Dr. Bhatnagar. Investigations carried out Under his collaborative scheme included deodorization of waxes, that is the odor of the waxes, smell of the waxes to be removed, increasing flame height of kerosene and utilization of waste products in vegetable oil and mineral oil industry. While pursuing his BSc, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar solved an industrial problem. During the Second World War, things could not be imported from Germany and other countries, and many business enterprises were facing shortage of goods. A leading stationer at Lahore, who was unable to import hectographic pads required for duplication. Hectograph, it's a device for making copies of written work. He approached Professor Carter Spears of Foreman College with the request to solve his problem. Professor Spears assigned the task to Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar and he solved the problem. The stationer gave him rupees 150 for his service. Dr. Bhatnagar persistently refused any personal monetary benefits from his research funding and instead advocated for strengthening research facilities at the university. A dedicated scientist and a generous human. The shlok says, Atmartham Jiva Lokesmin ko na jivati manavah param paropakartham yo jivati sa jivati. So in this world, everyone lives to satisfy his or her own interests, but those who live for the sake of helping others live a real and prosperous life. Being in recognition of the great work done by Dr. Bhatnagar Messrs. Steel Brothers and Company London, had made a generous gift of money and awarded him rupees 1.5 lakh and offered him a job to conduct further research in petroleum. However, as a man dedicated to spreading the gospel of science, Dr. Bhatnagar refused the job offer and instead donated his winnings to the chemistry department of Punjab University, Lahore, so that it could set up its own department of petroleum research. He transmitted a considerable part of that gift to create an industrial research department in which research scholars could develop new processes for the industrial utilization of Indian raw material. Dr. Bhatnagar's act was exemplary and one without any parallel in the history of Indian universities and is highly inspirational. Thank you.